All right, today on J on Air, I'm sitting down with a man who has gracefully moved from being in front of the camera to boldly stepping behind it. Now, known for his layered performances and intentional storytelling, Daniel Etim Effiong is not just an actor anymore. This weekend, his directorial debut film, The Herd, hits the screens, and I have had the privilege of hosting the red carpet premiere myself, so it was a fantastic time. From Nollywood leading man to filmmaker shaping the narrative from the director's chair, today we're unpacking evolution, legacy, faith pressure, and the cost of artistic growth. Welcome to the show, sir. So good to have you on the show today. I'm sure you are mighty exhausted.
Listen, I've not had up to 6 hours of sleep from the day of the premiere. This is 2 days ago. I've not had cumulatively. I've not had 6 hours of sleep.
And you're still working. You're still on the set. You're still shooting.
I'm still on the go, bro.
Do you ever get burnt out? Do you ever get like, I want to rest?
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes I can't go any further, and then I just crash. But sometimes you also have to just do it. You know, I say that balance is a fallacy, but cumulatively, yes, you must live a balanced life, not a balanced day or a balanced week or a balanced year, but a balanced life. So right now, there's no time for sleep, man.
No
sleep
time
is
for
the
sleep.
week.
Yeah. Does it ever get to you when people say that Daniel is almost in every single production? Is on YouTube, is in cinema, is in this, is in that, is in that, is the lead man here, is the best friend here? That he should relax, get off films. Does it ever worry you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get to me because I've learned that two things. That one, the more you work, the better you are at your craft. You know, and that's the one. And number two is don't listen to what people say. Do what works for you. And my strategy is to be everywhere like an eczema. You know, then and it's good work actually. So I'm not just everywhere doing random things. I'm everywhere doing meaningful work. And then it gets to a stage where and I have seasons for that. It gets to a stage where you now become selective. I started off being selective, then I changed strategy and said, you know what, let me spread. And then I spread, and then now it's back to being selective again because now I'm not just an actor, I'm also a producer and a director.
Yeah. What was the reason? What made you say, you know what, I want to spread? Because not a lot of people knew you, and you had been doing the work. And so was that the major reason that you said, I need to become a more familiar face, so I need to be in more films? Or what was that change?
Absolutely. Two reasons. Number one, I studied some of my colleagues and saw that we started off almost the same way, being selective, being, the tush actors, when almost in the same shows together, earlier on in my career. And then I noticed they switched, and they started to do what is now called YouTube Nollywood. And that just, the productions were not good. They were kind of,
So far compared to what you were used
to. Exactly. And then, but they were everywhere. They were getting, they were getting virality. They were getting, for lack of a better word, more famous because they were in more gigs, right? And those gigs reached out to more people. So the tush and the high-end gigs I was used to doing were only for the 10-20%. But who's catering to the 80%? Where do the 80% go for content? It's YouTube, it's terrestrial TV. That's the area where you want to target if you want to get the 80%. So I said, you know what, I'll switch. I'll go to that area just so that I am a more household name. I'm a more known name. Also, it occurred to me that so I'm in this career for a reason. I left engineering to do film and entertainment for impact, right? I wanted to reach people. I wanted to touch lives. And so I asked myself the question, where are the lives you want to touch? And how are you happy with touching just the 10%? And so I realized I needed to shift focus and touch more people, impact more people. And where are the more people? It's down there in the 80%. So, yeah.
At the premiere on Sunday, it was fantastic. But we're going to get to what happened there. But let us talk about what you wore, for it. I mean, your wife was in a beautiful red dress.
Yes.
She looked stunning.
Yes.
And then you told us to wear black tie. So we wore black tie, but you wore a uniform.
Yeah.
So talk to us about why you wore that, and why it was necessary to wear that to the premiere.
For two reasons. Number one, the one of the themes, one of the thematic expressions of the film is one voice, one Nigeria coming together as a herd. You know, so the title of the film is The Herd, right? And it's about herdsmen kidnapping, but also, and more importantly, it's about all the different parts of Nigeria coming together as one voice, as one people. And of course, I'm a big history buff, and I love, you know, Nigeria's history around the 60s, you know, and the 70s. And of course, we know that the Civil War happened in the 60s. And then a very popular figure actor in the Civil War was General Gowon. And one of his most popular lines was, "To keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done." You know, so and he just became I became a big fan of that historical character, Yakubu Gowon. He was young, he was smart, he was handsome, you know, and he had a dream, he had a purpose to keep Nigeria one, and he did that. The love for Nigeria made him spill blood. So when I got the theme was love and blood, and me loving history and understanding the theme of the film as well, I thought it'd be a great idea to come dressed as General Yakubu Gowon.
So that was it. Was it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You also mentioned on the red carpet, when I asked you some questions, you spoke about how, you know, almost, I mean, this is not exactly what happened, but your dad
absolutely
was also a big part of you wanting to tell the story. So do you want to tell us a bit about that as well?
Yeah, two things. Number one is I grew up taking road trips with my father, right? And it became for me quickly a symbol of, you know, going on road trips became a symbol of family unity and bonding. And now I want to go on road trips with my children because that's what I did with my father when I was younger. But now I can't because, you know, the road, I'm afraid, I'm petrified of being, of what's going on our highways with kidnappings and stuff, right? Another thing is, my dad was in the army, you know, another reason why I decided to just my dad was in the house, by the way, for the premiere. So my dad became my hero.
Hold on, your dad was in the house?
Yes, my dad was there, you know.
We didn't know.
I know.
Did you hide him away?
No, I didn't. The plan was to also, you know, like at some point celebrate him and let everybody know that the general was in the building.
But so much was happening.
Yeah, I just got carried away and everything, and I regret it now. But yeah, but his day will come. His day will come. Anyways, so I grew up with that, you know, hero figure in my mind. But when he was arrested and, of course, put in prison as a political prisoner by the military government, my mom rose up to the occasion. And my mom went through hell and high water to make sure that my dad came back home. So and then in one of those episodes, or, you know, on one of those days, my mom was traveling all the way from Benin to visit him in prison in Kano, and she had an accident and she died. You know, but the way my grandparents would narrate the story to me was that my mom died for love. My mom died because she was fighting for my dad and did everything for my dad to come back home, and she lost her life in the process. And I grew up also with that feminine hero, that heroine figure, right, of my mother, who became even larger than my dad in my mind, right? So my characters in the film were also strong, larger than life women who took the narrative, who had agency to try and bring back their loved ones back to them, you know. So that also informed like the storytelling in the film and everything. So that with the two stories I just told you, me having road trips with my dad and my mom and having to die for her husband together, informed, you know, why I chose to tell this film and my inspiration behind the way I chose to tell it.
I mean, I know we're talking about The Herd and your directorial debut of a feature film, but I mean, this story narrated of your mom and your dad just feels like something that should be on the screen. Because I remember Steven Spielberg telling his own family story, I mean, The Fablemans and all of that. So he really talked about it and didn't star in it, directed it. So do you think that is something you would ever take to the screen?
I tell you, the first feature film I ever wrote was an adaptation of my dad's story about his life. You know, that is still in the works. We have this script. We're working on it. I mean, the book is there. It's called Another Testament, where my dad wrote about how he survived death by firing squad in 1985 under the military government of Ibrahim Babangida, and how he was commuted to life imprisonment, and how my mom was on the way to visit him and she died, you know, and how God just restored him. And in the government of President Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari, he was restored. He was granted presidential pardon, and his rank and entitlements were restored at the same year that I was when he was arrested.
Wow.
Funny. Yeah, but you know, it's a beautiful story, and I plan to tell it someday. I plan to make it into a film someday.
Yeah. Do you have any animosity against the military or the government in any way?
Absolutely not. In fact, it's an interesting story that the government put him in prison for all these years. He was released in 1993, I think, but he wasn't granted an official pardon. His rank and entitlements were not released and all of that. So we grew up with this shadow over us of the military government kind of haunting our family. But guess what? After the military government was over, Nigeria had successive civilian presidents that didn't do anything about restoring his ranks and entitlement. It took a Muslim president, it took a general, retired general, to come back and grant my father his official pardon, his official restoration of ranks and entitlements. Listen, it could have only been God. So what I see is, I see the hand of God, and God will walk through whom he would walk through. So no animosity at all. Instead, we look unto God and say, man, like God does wonders, and he uses his people however he uses them.
I mean, directing a movie is different. I mean, a lot of people on the red carpet were saying that this is not Daniel's first rodeo. He has done commercials. People really love you. He has done commercials. He has done documentaries and stuff. But this is a different thing entirely. What was the most tasking thing, having to direct and having to star in the movie? Or that's to say, if it's your first feature film, why don't you direct first and see how strong your hands are? But you said, you know what, I'm going to star and I'm going to direct. So why?
Jay, listen, I say this, I say don't do this at home. Don't do it. It was harrowing. It was really, really difficult, you know, but I had the best team around me, and that's the secret to great filmmaking. Surround yourself with, and it doesn't have to like be you taking all the glory. First of all, I tell you, I had great material. The script written by Lani Aishida was fantastic. He pitched the synopsis to me first before he started writing. He said, I have 3 synopses. This is 1, 2, 3, what do you think? And I picked the herd, and I'm like, this one, there's something about this one. And then he went on the process of writing, and then back and forth between me and Lani, the script was made, right? He wrote the script, and I was like, fantastic. So first, I had a great writer to collaborate with. I had a fantastic DOP, Emmanuel Ibeleke, fantastic, great pictures. I had a great AD who stood behind me as I was acting and directing, because I'll go act, he will stay behind the screen monitor and watch me. I'll act, then he'll come back, he'll play back for me, I'd watch it, take my notes and go back there and then do it. He'll be like, and sometimes I get really into it and I'm like, take 7, let's go. I haven't got, and it's like, dude, there's no time for that. We have to move. Next scene, we're losing light. Next scene. So he kept me on the thing, you know, very good DOP, AZ Aziz, AD rather, AZ Aziz. Solid people, sound guys. So my team was crack, was a solid team, and that enabled me to easily shift between, you know, my director's hat and the acting hat. You know, so that's the secret for me. The people I worked with, and then the actors, the co-collaborators on camera were fantastic, amazing people. I took them into the bush.
Where did you guys shoot?
Film.
Where did you guys shoot?
We shot in Lagos and Abeokuta. I took them into the thick bush in Abeokuta to shoot, and they were just like, let's get it. Genoviva, that girl is a warrior. She's small, she's young, but she's power packed. She's like, let's go. She was wearing the same wedding dress for days, smelly, dirty. She was like, we couldn't wash it because of continuity, so we would air dry it. She's like, let's go, I'm like, oh my God, this is some Gen Z jammed babe,
kind of
and
energy,
she was
yeah.
getting in the dirt. Linda Ihuoma Ejiofor Suleiman, fantastic. She was in it with the emotions. Listen, my guys from the north. I brought 4 actors from Nollywood.
How were you able to even locate them? Because they were fantastic in this. For those that are listening and are watching, and like, we're talking about Daniel Etim Effiong's directorial debut, The Herd. I mean, I had the privilege of seeing this on Sunday. It's going to be out on Friday.
Yes.
So you definitely want to see it. So, I mean, fantastic actors. We had, people that we know, but we also had people from the northern side come in, and they were fantastic. How did you locate their work?
So I'm a fan of following great performances. If I stumble on a great performer, be it even if you have 1 follower, you have 10 million followers, you have no follower at all, I would follow you for your craft. So I have that knack of going through Instagram and just seeing great performances and following these actors that are giving great performances no matter who they are. So I stumbled on Zaki, right? Someone, I think, reposted him or something, and he was doing, I don't know what he was, I think it was in a film. So I quickly went and, researched him, and I just followed him, right? So when I started making The Herd and I wanted original Fulani actors, not just Hausa actors, Fulani actors, I said, you know what, I will look for Fulani actors. And Zaki was one of those people I reached out to and was like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He's like, okay, interesting, let's see. Can you send me the script? And Zaki was so helpful. He also helped me get other actors. So when I was looking for a character for Anas, he said, try this guy. I sent sites to them. They did monologues and sent to me. And I'm like, okay, this is the guy. That's how we found Anas. And Anas is actually a musician, a Fulani musician from Bauchi.
Wow.
Then Amal as well, someone recommended. I went, looked at it. I'm like, yes, that's the girl. So it was just like, and then I'd been a fan of Adam Garba for ages, from my time in Abuja. I think he's such a fantastic performer, very subtle, and he gives it just how you like it,
right,
know.
Yeah.
So I was like, and of course we had to fight for them, because of course budget would be like, why can't we get the Hausa people in Lagos? let's cast. I'm like, no, we have to. And I also wanted these characters to be unrecognizable characters, so that the audience is not looking at a Halil and imagining him as 10 other different characters that he has played. So I wanted to try as much as possible to get actors who were not too popular this side, so that the suspension of disbelief is more effective. So that when you see a terrorist, when you see a guy playing a terrorist, it's very believable, because he has not played Loverboy just yesterday. Do you understand? So
how important is this collaboration? Because at some point, not at some point, even till now, we have with the Asabawood, we have the Kannywood, we have people in Lagos here. They will say this Lekkywood, you understand? with the shortlets and everything. I mean, that's true. So it almost feels like there is one Nollywood, but a lot of segregation in it. What do you think the issue is? And I think that your movie had Yoruba actors, had Igbo actors, had Hausa, Fulani actors, everybody from every side. So how important is it for us to have that? And do you think that we need to break away from everybody just segregating themselves?
So it's a market decision. When there is a market, businessmen will rise to meet the demands of that market, right? So this segregation that you see in the movie industry is as a result of demand from the market. So there are people who rise to meet the demands. There's a demand for Igbo-speaking roles. You rise to meet the demands of the Igbo-speaking role. Rather than what will usually happen with the arts is that you will get someone and you train the person to speak in a way that you need the person to speak to meet that demand. But because it's also a business, and you think of the amount of investment you put into getting someone and training the person to be both Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. You're like, why don't we just get an Igbo person? So over time, that has also developed into different industries. Hausa people speaking Hausa roles for the Hausa industry. Igbo people speaking Igbo roles for the Igbo industry. Yoruba, same thing. However, when I cast or when I create stories, I want to have, for business reasons, I want to have people who cut across in the film. so that you're having different people finding different parts of the film that they can, relate with. But a more artistic reason is I want people to be able to speak original languages in these roles so that they're comfortable, so that you see a real representation of these character that they're playing. And it's so you're not thinking of too many things. You're not thinking in English and then converting it to Yoruba and then Igbo, which is like your third language before you deliver. No, it comes to you like that because it's your first language. That's why the Hausa performers were so good, because they were speaking their native tongue. Hausa, that's why Igbo people seem really authentic when they're speaking Igbo in those Asaba films, quote and unquote, because it's first language, so it's authentic, it's original. Same thing with Yoruba actors, it's authentic, so we see them come alive almost. So if we're telling a story that has all these different languages, why not cast according to those lines so that we see real authentic performances coming through?
Amazing. Your wife manages you.
Yes.
How does that work, having your wife, the mother of your children, also be involved in your business?
Listen, it hasn't been easy. It started off being, this is a great idea, but quickly, spiraled into chaos because she's so to the T on getting things right, but we know that sometimes the industry can be chaotic and doesn't have time for organization. And so sometimes I just yank projects off. I'm like, please, let me do this myself, especially when it comes to smaller projects. For example, YouTube projects. YouTube projects don't have the structure for management to fit in. No one wants to talk to your management. No one. But my wife is very adamant and says we must force structure into the system, And me, I have to make this money and be moving. Because when it's time to drop money, you're not going to tell me, it's because of structure we were not able to land that project. No, you would tell me, bro, bring the money, and stuff like that. So, so essentially we had to meet at a point, right? There are certain ways that our relationship, when it comes to management and client, has morphed into an understanding that works. There are certain projects that she needs to be on, there are other projects that she'll just be like, yeah, go with it. It's fine. So we have an understanding and it works just perfect right now.
Was it from the beginning was it when you got married she started managing you?
Oh, no. It started off somewhere in the middle, I think. I think we were married 8 years. I think it took her 4 years or 3 years to study me and the industry and be like, you know what? I think the industry needs a solution in terms of management. And I was her guinea pig. I was the first person she attempted to manage. Then she went on to managing a number of others. Then she reverted into like an agency where, you know what, this management thing has too many headaches attached to it. Let's go into agency. I'll represent you to brands and to international platforms and stuff. Let's go about that. My company will take the cut and then we'll keep it moving from there.
Have you noticed any change in how business and how work
of course
is for you?
Of course. Now I have, and it's not just, in terms of representation, it's also in terms of like advice and just curating your brand. So that's also important. It's not just, getting, yes, she signs deals for me or, books me for deals, but it's also, curating your brand and having you represented in a certain way and in a specific way. That's also important. I've seen my brand grow in leaps and bounds since she took me on board and took me as a project. I've seen, because if you allow me, I'll just be, I'll just be doing it and be going. But that has been really helpful and things have really been improved. There's been, major improvements in my career. She was very instrumental in me going to Essence Festival for the first time, where my film was screened at the festival.
This film or another film?
No, another film. Okay. I acted in the film.
Okay.
The film I acted in called, I think it was called Jolly Roger, a Walter Banger film. So screened at the Essence Film Festival. I was there celebrating. My posters were all over the place at Essence, and it was just a wonderful feel, So stuff like that. She's passionate about cross-pollinating the entertainment industry, Hollywood and Nollywood. She's very passionate about that. crossing over of talents and stuff like that, you know, and she's doing a great job.
If you're a brand and you're looking to sponsor, looking to partner, I mean, reach out to us via email. I mean, we have some of the biggest opinion leaders, entertainers, celebrities joining us on the show, and you want your brand to be side by side some of these people having some of these important conversations. So what you need to do is send an email to jonairbusiness@gmail.com, jonairbusiness@gmail.com, and people around the world would be seeing their faves while also seeing your brand. Their faves like Daniel Etim Effiong, while also seeing your brand. Let us also talk about the fact that, you know, somehow, you know, she's your manager, that's your wife is your manager, has helped your brand grow, but also is always in the news, or sometimes in the news. People are always, how do you deal with that? The fact that, you know, when she says something, sometimes it's taken out of context, sometimes people want to over explain it. How do you deal with the fact that, you know, you're an actor, you're in the space, you're in the business, this is your wife, you know, but, you know, she gets dragged a lot. How do you deal with that? And do you tell her sometimes, you know, don't talk about this, don't say anything, let's not have this conversation? How does that work?
So I'll be honest to say that we have different personalities. You know, my wife has a very formidable personality. You know, she's a go-getter. She's very assertive. You know, she wants what she wants and she goes for it, regardless of what anyone says, regardless of who's asks God. She's that person. I, on the other hand, am quite, you know, mild-mannered, and I like peace. And you know, if I'm going to offend people, I'd rather, you know, re-strategize. And you know, I don't like to, you know, step on people's toes. And you know, so I like things peace and quiet. But in 8 years of marriage, I've understood that we have come together for a reason. God has brought us together for a reason to complement each other. So earlier on in our marriage, I used to try to change her. I used to try to be like, don't do that, do it this way, do it my way. Let's just be peace and let's just like, and you know, and she used to get me to try to do things her way. And of course, early stages in marriage, that used to put us in a lot of conflict situations together. But now, I've learned that she's that way for a reason, and it's a cutting edge personality. So you need that personality when you need to trailblaze, when if you're going into the forest, you need a sharp cutlass to make that trail. You know, you're not going to make that trail with just, you know, you need to push, you know, and I've realized it's a strength for her. So now when all those things happen, I mean, initially I used to be like, can't I take it easy? You know, let's not just ruffle feathers. And like, now I let her go, man. I'm like, you do you. You know, people will talk and people will be, and I deal with my own insecurities about that, about me being in the limelight often and me being, you know, talked about and all of that, and the negative response to some of the things that she says. I deal with it. You know, it's because I've also realized that you don't live your life according to what people say or think. You know, you won't be authentic that way. You live your true authentic self, and let others will catch on. You know, you can see that we're less in the news now because people get tired, people will move on. Initially, people will talk, especially in Nigeria in this day and age with Twitter and social media and all whatnot. Well, did I say Twitter? X and social media and all whatnot. You know, people always want to have an opinion about your opinion. But the truth is, just do you. People will talk and they'll get tired and they'll move on to the next thing. No matter what you say. The fact that people are not talking about you, you should be worried. It means you're not saying anything, you're not standing for anything. But the moment you stand for something, the moment you speak out about something, you will get people talking about it. You will get, you know, negative opinion. You will get flack for it. Just be you, be yourself, and be true to who you are.
Have you had to defend any of these, her in any of these times?
In private spaces, yeah. On social media, I don't have to like.
People have asked you about it in private spaces.
Oh yeah, I've had calls. Dude, man, what's going on? Put your wife on a leash, bro. Like, nah, man, she's making you look bad. She's making guys look somehow. Like, why are you so, you know, especially with our podcast, Transparent, you guys are too vulnerable, man. You got to keep some, you know, and I'm like, maybe you're not the audience for it, because trust me, the people who that was curated for, they get it. They get it. And you see the comments. You see the comments on the show, you see the people giving feedback, and it's transformative.
Totally different from what others are saying.
Yes. So when people call you, you know that they're responding out of their own fears, out of their own insecurities. So you get it. There are people who are not used to being vulnerable at all. Especially guys, what? No way! Like it's, oh my God, it's sacrilegious. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a different day. You know, it's a different age, and we're telling men that you can be a bit more complex than just the one-sided guy. Than life is a bit more complex than that. You know, and you can embrace complexity as part of being human.
Do you get offended by the kissing jokes? Comedians use it, people online use it, people on Twitter use it.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember, I think it was trending one time where, you know, they're saying, did he have to take this role? Is it necessary? He's married, we know he's wired.
Yeah.
At some point, does it ever get to you? And have you ever had to, you know what, let me take a step back from some of these roles?
Yeah.
Just because?
Yeah, to be honest, it does get to me sometimes because I'm human. I never respond to it publicly, but it does get to me. And so, especially because I'm not just an entertainer, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer in the entertainment industry, so I'm also careful how I'm represented. You know, I don't want to be represented as a Casanova, as a guy that's going around kissing other girls, even if he's married. You know, that's the roles, some of the roles I act, but that's not who I am. And I don't want to you know, people tend to, especially in this part, merge roles that you play with who you are. Yeah. They make it one, you know, and so that worries me quite a bit. There are times I've also tried to like offer other scenarios to producers and directors, like, do we have to kiss here? Like, it's not necessary.
Do you think that sometimes some of these people, because of the story and the buzz they know that a kissing scene by you would cause, they'll say, you know, let's just add kiss there. Do you think that has happened?
Absolutely. Also, sometimes writers are lazy. You can express love in 1,000 ways, and all they put is just he kisses her deeply, passionately kissing. Writers, there are 1,000 ways to emote grief. She breaks down into tears. That's all for she breaks down. That's just so many ways you can express it, but they get lazy. And then also on producers' part, they're like, kissing day. Let's get Daniel Etim Effiong. Let's get Daniel. Let's get Etim. Let's get this. Like, come on. No, you know, you can be a bit more creative than that. That's why it's called creativity, right? Express yourself differently, and then maybe you get people's attention more.
How do you even deal with a kissing scene? I was talking to an actor yesterday or 2 days ago, and I already mentioned that, you know, I mean, in Hollywood, they have these coordinators. It escapes me now, but, you know, coordinators that when you're having a sex, you know, kissing, intimacy coaching. Exactly. But we don't have that here. So how does that work for you? How do you deal with that process?
So it's interesting you ask that, because I was on set the other day and someone says, this guy's on, I think the director said, Agba romantic actor or something. Essentially, he meant when it comes to romance, just leave it for Daniel. Yeah. So I think what happens is, and it shows in other areas of my life too, is I'm comfortable with vulnerability. You know, I've learned to be comfortable in my vulnerability. I've learned to be vulnerable and be okay with it. And that helps in emoting. That helps in roles where you have to be broken, you have to show love. Meanwhile, men are guarded, and rightly so, right? And so when it comes to moments of intimacy, that guard, you cannot just take it off overnight. You can't just suddenly become unguarded because you've been told to. So if you're not used to being unguarded, if you're not used to being vulnerable, when it comes to switching like that, it'll be difficult, and you have to pass through different checkpoints in your mind. But when you are adept at being vulnerable, when it gets time to call it like this, it will respond quicker. So you can break down, you can be broken, you can show love, and it's true because it's all in the eyes, right? It's really true. You're getting there, and that's how you master it. That's how you master your emotions. So and I love people. I connect with people very easily. You know, so I'm on set, and just before we go on set, who are we acting with? Who am I acting with? I ask. You know, and if it's someone that I've acted with before, then it's easy for me to get in there. But if it's someone I haven't acted with before, then I want to reach out to the person before we get on set, and I'm like, yo, what's up? It's so good to see you. I've really wanted to be on set with you. I'm looking forward to this, you know. So break the walls and get, you know, get conversant with this person before you get on set and play that intimate role.
Has there been any role that you've had to, you know, you've found really difficult playing, that, you know, really took a lot for me to play? I was talking to an actor, and then he was telling me that, you know, there was a particular scene where it involved trigger warning by the rape scene.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it just took a lot from him to do to the actress that was in that scene. You know, so have there been any roles that have just taken a lot from you and you've needed time to, you know, shed it off and just, you know, say, I need some break after this?
When it comes to intimate roles, you're just talking about intimate
roles or roles generally?
I think maybe there was a time I had to play a gay man, and it was a bit difficult for me because not only was I going to put myself in a very unfamiliar space for me, it was something I had to deal with in my mind first. You know, it was something because...
Were you married at the time?
No, I wasn't married at the time. You know, I wasn't married at the time. But it was just something that I had to, you know, to play a role, you mustn't judge the character that you're playing. So I had to bring myself to not be judgmental to this guy, you know, to almost embrace the guy first in your heart, and then you play that role. So it was quite technical for me personally, you know, to break the walls of my quote and unquote prejudices, preconceived prejudices, disabuse my mind, and then get into the character and then play the role and try to be convincing at playing the role and then come out of it and be yourself. That was quite technical for me.
Is that the kind of role you would take on again now that you're married? Or are there roles that you will not take on again now that you're married?
It would depend on the story. Like, the story has to be something that moves me, something that that I believe needs to be told. You know, there are some roles I would just do, you know, just because, but there are some roles that I would have to sit with and actually just check the technicalities of it first, because I'm also careful the kind of messaging I'm putting out there.
Can people be rich from being actors in Nollywood? Can people be rich?
That's such a good question. So because rich is relative, I would say that you can't be just rich by doing anything. Be it acting, be it banking, oil and gas, whatever. You can't be just rich by just doing. You have to be a bit more strategic. Building wealth is a whole process that would see you change as a person. So you have to evolve into a kind of person that can retain wealth. And be it acting, whatever the career path is, if you don't change, if you don't evolve into the kind of person that retains wealth and is able to save and invest and create multiple streams of income around that one career path, then it will be quite challenging for you. You struggle. But if you're smart, as a lot of my female colleagues are, and are able to...
why do you say your female colleagues?
I'll tell you why. Because they are able to reinvent themselves into different roles, right? Like, not just being an actress. Every actress in Nollywood is also a business person, believe it or not. That's why they're able to create so much wealth around them. The reason why, and it's because they're multitaskers. They're multitaskers. So good at that. A lot of guys are not good at multitasking. What they do is, the one thing that they do it so well. But to build wealth, you need more than that. You need to be able to do a number of things, develop multiple streams of income around that one stream, right? And then brand yourself up to be able to attract the big spenders. Because just acting based on the facts on ground, And when I mean fact is what obtains, what actors are being paid.
Yeah.
And because the acting gig is such that you cannot replicate yourself. You cannot send yourself to 10 different sets as in just be acting. No. So you just have to be there per time. And because your time is limited, you have only 24 hours to live a day, and then maybe you have 12 hours to work, and maybe you want to extend that to 16, 20 hours to work a day. It's still limited, and you get only a certain amount of pay for that time. So you have to be smart. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to look for other streams of income. You have to brand yourself in a way that you can attract brands, because brands are the big spenders. Brands are the big spenders. So if you want to attract wealth and you want to grow wealth, partner with brands.
I mean, The Herd is out this Friday. As we wrap this up, what do you want people to take home from seeing this movie? Because again, people often say, only the funny movies make big buck in cinemas. And you are taking this to the cinema, and I cannot imagine the nerves and the thinking and all of that. But why should people go out to see this movie? And do you think that, comedy or not, this movie can shake things up in the cinema?
So I've done a bit of research, and the truth is people don't know what they want. They say they want comedy, but if Kemi Adetiba should come out with something now, everybody will rush and be like, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread. But the truth is, because over the years, people who have comedic talent have come up with really strong titles, and those titles have sold and become very popular. Remember, these people are strong business people before they decided, okay, they wanted to do a comedy show or comedy film or film, So first, you must go behind the scene and say, who did this film? What's the character of this person making this film? You understand that this person is hardworking. This person has strong network. This person is, industrious. Then you understand that all that goes behind the film. A man who would do a film, a comedy film, who is the man behind the film? This person is a massive business person. He's a showman. He knows how to sell. He's a marketer. He knows how to sell these films. That's why the films are so successful. Not just because it's comedy. Yes, Nigerians love comedy and all of that. Yes. But if you put energy and thought into selling any product, the product will sell. So I'm hoping that with The Herd, we're able to back it up with energy, with proper marketing, with thought to make it do well in the box office. All
right. What is legacy for Daniel Etim Effiong as we wrap this up?
I want to be remembered for inspiring people. I want my stories to change lives. I want my stories to travel the length and breadth of this world. And when people watch it, it leaves them with something. It leaves them not just laughing or crying or being moved, but leaves them with a changed mind.
Thank you so much, Daniel Etim Effiong, for joining us. We wish you all the success with The Herd. I saw it. You got a massive standing ovation. These are the kind of things we see in festivals abroad. I've been anchoring a lot of movies for a while in Nollywood, and this is one of the ones that really just wow. So congratulations.
Thank you.
People should definitely go out to see it. Yeah,
absolutely.
As a wrap up with Jay's Take, Daniel has been known as a recognizable face as an actor. But Daniel is saying, you know what, I want to direct. I think this teaches us that, you don't have to be boxed in. You can do multiple things, and, don't allow what people say keep you in a box. That is the story I want to tell here. Go out to see The Herd. It's out this Friday.
Yes.
It's a fantastic movie. This is not promo. It's a fantastic movie. Go check it out. We have Jay on air Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 6 p.m. right here on 88.5 UFM, and of course on YouTube on Jay On Air TV. Thank you for watching this episode. Please share, like, and subscribe like they always say. Bye for now.